going on, everyone? This is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross, your commentator, and we continue our 2022 college football predictions. The LSU Tigers are up next. I'll give you an official prediction on this team, give you my thoughts on this team, and I'll go through their schedule, and we will go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at 2021 for this LSU team. 2021, the LSU Tigers went 6-7 overall. It was not a good season last year, let's be honest. LSU fired Ed Oregon after this year, so he's gone. So new head coach now for LSU, new expectations this year as well. They're going to have a young team overall on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're going to be pretty young as well there. It's really questionable. It's really questionable what LSU is going to look like this year. I really don't know what LSU will look like overall, but I think they still have a chance to maybe win some close games this year. We'll have to go through the schedule and see it. Before we do that, though, offense and defensive rankings from last year, 80th on offense and then 70th on defense. Those are not really good numbers from LSU. We hardly don't see LSU in those numbers over the years, so I think that should be improved this year. Obviously, they should improve that a little bit. And then there's points per game and opponents per game. Pretty similar stats from last year, 26.5 points a game and then 26.6 points given up on the defensive side of the ball. So pretty similar numbers there from last year's team. But LSU has a new head coach, new coaching staff, new expectations. What are they going to look like this year? We don't really know. But here's the schedule for 2022 for the LSU Tigers. And there's that opening game against Florida State at New Orleans. Home field advantage here, I think, for LSU. But, it's going to be a close game. Let's be honest, Florida State has a lot coming back this year, a lot of returning production. I think Florida State might have a chance to be one of the top defenses in the ACC this year as well. This game is on a, Sunday, I think. I think it's going to be on a Sunday. It's like right on Labor Day weekend, I think. And also, home field advantage is there for LSU because it's at New Orleans. But like I said in my Florida State video that I did a while back, I said Florida State would win. I just think that defense is going to step up in this one. And I think LSU will start off 2022 with a loss. I think, it's a game that can go either way, though. Not saying it's going to be a blowout. I'm saying it's going to be one of those defensive battle type games, but I think LSU will lose this one, and I think Florida State will pull away, and I think they will defeat LSU in this game. And then LSU takes care of business against Southern at home. That's an easy win there. And then they face Mississippi State on September 17th at home. Mississippi State brings a really good defense this year, from last year as well. And, Rogers coming back at quarterback, what is he going to be like? He was one of the most talented SEC quarterbacks I've ever seen from last year's team. LSU has a veteran quarterback as well. Both of these quarterbacks are, they're not veterans, but, I think LSU's quarterback is a veteran-type player. And I think, in this game here, with it being at home, I see LSU winning this. I think they do win it here against Mississippi State at home, and it's in Death Valley, so I think the home field advantage will be there. I think they'll be fired up in this game as well, and I'm expecting this team, I'm expecting LSU to redeem themselves and get a win there in the SEC opener as well. So I think they do defeat Mississippi State. They take care of business against New Mexico. That should be an easy win there. And then they face Auburn on the road on October 1st. And this is a brutal stretch here in October. You got Auburn first, then Tennessee, and then Florida on the road, and then Ole Miss. That's a tough stretch there in October. But good news is you get two of these games at home. Let's start with Auburn first. Auburn is a team that I'm pretty high on this year. But if you look at this team, they lose Bo Nix at quarterback, but the home field advantage is there for them. And I also think that Auburn, is still going to be a talented team, but, not quite as talented, I think, as they were last year. A little bit talented, but not like really talented a little bit. But I think they do, I think LSU, though, with it being on the road, I think Auburn does pull off a win. If LSU was ranked in the top 25, I don't think they will be, but I think LSU, they would lose this game here. Just with it being on the road at Jordan-Hare Stadium, a tough place to play, I think Auburn does defeat LSU in this game. Like I said in my Auburn video, I think it will be a defensive battle as well, and I think LSU does lose, though, to Auburn on the road. Tennessee is next here on October 8th. Really interesting game here. LSU plays Tennessee out of the East this year. Of course, you have to play Florida every year. But Tennessee is going to be a team that brings a lot back this year, and also Hendon Hooker back at quarterback. I mean, this team is loaded. The offense is going to be really explosive this year for Tennessee. I mean, they should be that type of team from last year. But I think LSU, I think they'll be fired up in this game. And with this one being at Death Valley, I think LSU does defeat Tennessee here. I think, the defense will be fired up in this one. I think LSU is looking for a repeat after that loss to Auburn. They're angry about that loss, and I think they do defeat Tennessee here at home. Florida is next here on the road on October 15th. This is going to be a tough matchup here as well. Florida, a lot of expectations this year as well. So 2 first-season head coaches going at it here. I mean, Brian Kelly is coming over here. So, I mean, LSU, in Florida, this is a game that's played every year. Florida, though, with it being on the road, I really don't see LSU winning because it's on the road. I think it's going to be a tough place to play at Gainesville. And I think Florida has home field advantage. And I said in my Florida video, I just think home field advantage is there for them, and I think LSU will just come up short of this one. I mean, I think it's really tough to play on the road. Every time when you go in college football, and I think it's really tough to play on the road, honestly. But I think LSU does lose to Florida here. Ole Miss is next here on October 22nd. Ole Miss is going to be really young on the offensive side of the ball. Matt Corral is gone, so this is a potential win here for LSU. I mean, I could see it being a potential win. Ole Miss is probably ranked in the top 25. And it's one of those upset alert type games. And I think LSU does defeat Ole Miss here at home. I think they get it done. I think with it being home field advantage, LSU does get fired up after losing to Florida. And I think they do defeat Ole Miss here at home. They get a bye week now before playing Alabama at home. Home field advantage here for LSU. To be honest, I'm not really seeing LSU compete with Alabama. Yes, I know they competed last year. The game was really close. It could be a short-scoring type game once again like it always has been. But I think LSU is going to lose this game to Alabama. I really don't see LSU beating Alabama this year. Brian Kelly's still got a long way to go with this LSU team. And I think Alabama does roll over LSU in this game. If it was a defensive battle, I think LSU will probably be scoreless in this game. But next game is against Arkansas at home on the road. This is a really interesting matchup here as well. Arkansas and LSU, 2 rivalries here. Arkansas a little bit better than LSU, let's be honest. I mean, Arkansas has really done a good job with Sam Pittman down there. They recruited well. And with this one being on the road, I think LSU is still, a little bit banged up after losing to Alabama. And I think Arkansas does win it here at home against LSU. It will be a close game probably, but I think LSU doesn't really have what it takes to go on the road and defeat Arkansas. I think Arkansas is just much better than people might say as well, and I think Arkansas will win. UAB is taking care of business though. I think LSU does get a win there. UAB is a really good group of 5 team, but I think LSU should take care of business in that game. And then there's that final game on the road at Texas A&M. Big game here, I should say. I mean, Texas A&M, they got the #1 ranked recruiting class this year. Jimbo Fisher has done a pretty good job down there at Texas A&M. This game is close. I mean, it's a close game. It's a rival game. I could see it going either way like it has been over the years, but I think Texas A&M, with it being on the road, I think Texas A&M does defeat LSU here, and I think that's a big loss there for LSU, but not like a big loss. I mean, just a heartbreaking loss. I think it does ruin a little bit of their season, but the overall prediction for LSU for me this year is 6-6. I am not really high on this LSU team. The schedule is really tough. Let's be honest. You have to play Florida State. You have to play Auburn. You have to play Tennessee out of the East. And then you play Florida. Of course, you play Florida every year. And then you play Alabama. And Texas A&M. So those are tough games there for LSU. I really don't see this team, being all that, good in Brian Kelly's first year. But we'll see how it goes. Give me your thoughts on this LSU team down in the comments below. We'll continue to do more predictions next week. And stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.